What if I told you that Minnesota, not Milwaukee or Massachusetts, built one of America's first motorcycles, and it was powered by a bike that doubled as a low-slung belt-drive beast? And the legend behind it was a teenage girl who scared the pants off male racers in 1910? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Timmy Tiny Wheels, where we respect old motorcycles the way my neighbor respects his six-pack, by keeping it carefully hidden under a sweater. Before we roll, if you like stories about brass-era bravery, belt squeal, and the kind of engineering that laughs in the face of modern convenience, hit subscribe. We drop deep dives every week, and I believe your thumbs are strong enough to click that button without a committee meeting. We're spotlighting the 1911 Wagner Belt-Drive single, a Minnesotan original that shows how America went from bicycle with ambition to motorcycle with opinions. We love this one not because it's perfect, but because it's honest. Like that friend who gives advice on every topic and has mastered exactly none. I think you'll see why. Now, story time. How this thing came to be. We're in 1911, St. Paul, Minnesota, at the Wagner Motorcycle Company, founded by George Wagner, a German immigrant who knew bicycles the way politicians know microphones, intimately and often. He'd been building motorized machines since 1901, aiming at ordinary riders, postal carriers, country doctors, and anyone who needed to cover miles without feeding a horse. The market was crowded. Something like 300 American outfits were bolting engines to frames, so Wagner differentiated with sensible engineering rather than fireworks. I liked the most how he hybridized the frame, part diamond for familiarity, part loop frame for strength and weight distribution. And then there's the peach of an idea, routing the exhaust through the front down tube and letting it exit behind the engine. It's tidy, keeps pipes out of your shins, and says, "We tried thinking before drilling holes." Meanwhile, Clara Wagner, George's daughter, turned the surname into headline ink. Clara Wagner wasn't just a marketing face. She was a force. As a teenage FAM member, she rode endurance events like the Chicago-Indianapolis Run with a perfect score, then got denied the trophy because, wait for it, she was a woman. The guys passed the hat and bought her a gold medal anyway. Recent legend, a 1911 survivor found with CW scratched on parts and even a key, quite possibly Clara's initials. It went to the Wheels Through Time crew, got brought back to life, and even starred on TV. I think the best part is how the initials don't prove anything, yet make the story feel perfectly right. Production reality? Wagner kept it small but steady from 1901 to 1912, with sales trickling under new owners, totaling about 8,500 machines across the run. By 1911, the single had matured. The engine sat low in that loop frame, the strap perched up top, the seat dropped behind it so you rode in the bike, not on it. This was the working rider's motorcycle. Utilitarian, reliable, and I believe, deliberately unflashy in a market that already loved peacocking. Let's wrench into the technical, Karen. Yes, we'll keep it in plain English with real numbers, both sides of the pond. The 1911 Wagner carried a single-cylinder four-stroke with an F-head intake over exhaust layout, an atmospheric intake lifted by vacuum and a mechanically operated exhaust. Displacement lived in the 442-475cc neighborhood, call it 27 to 29 cubic inches, and output around 4 horsepower. Modest, but honest. The motor's low mounting lowered the center of gravity. The exhaust in frame trick kept clutter down. There was no multi-gear transmission, just a single speed with belt final drive and bicycle-style pedals for starting and for LPA, light pedal assistance, on hills. Think of it as cardio you didn't plan for. Ignition could be battery coil or magneto, and Wagner even offered V-belt or flat belt drive options. Choose your squeak. Up front, a leading link fork gave a bit of travel. Out back it was rigid because that's how the world was. Braking was period correct and primitive. The rear hub's coaster arrangement did the lion's share, so riders planned stops like I planned tax filings early. The wheels? Spoked bicycle style, roughly 28 inches in diameter, often on white tires that looked fantastic until you met mud. Weight hovered around 250 pounds, 113 kilograms, which helped with both pedaling and stopping. Top speed was about 40 to 50 miles per hour, 64 to 80 kilometers per hour under ideal conditions and tailwind sympathy. Fuel economy wasn't bragged about in period literature. Given the tiny single, it was likely thrifty for the day. Unique touches, again, were that hybrid frame, the looped lower tube, and the whole strap-tank low-engine exhaust-through-the-bones approach. It made the Wagner feel more purpose-built than the high-slung engine glued to a bicycle crowd, and I think that matters. There was a ladies' model with a drop-top tube, enclosed guards, and even skirt shields. In an era allergic to accommodating women riders, Wagner quietly said, "Here, ride this." I believe that small act aged better than 100 loud slogans. I think choice was the brand's love language, right up until it rained and your belt started singing the blues. Claims to real-world duty were part of the pitch. Period literature bragged about adoption by New York fire and police departments and pushed hard to rural riders. One ad later crowed about thousands of Wagners on rural free delivery routes. Survivorship? Let's be clear. Very few Wagners remain. The ones that do are often museum pieces or deeply loved restorations. That scarcity isn't hype, it's just what a century of hard use and barn dust will do. Before we talk money, allow me one warm nod. The 1911 Wagner deserves respect. It isn't a fireworks show, but it is engineering with a conscience. Low center of gravity, simple belt drive, options that met riders where they lived, and a frame that solved problems without bragging. For a working rider in 1911, that's better than a showroom boast. That's a partner. And yes, I like the most how its cleverness hides in plain sight. Now, prices, and only now. In period, Wagner's sat in the working man's bracket. Contemporary advertising put models in the $175 to $210 range, and by 1911, the 4-horsepower single was about $200. Adjusted to today's money, that's roughly $6,700 to $7,000. For collectors today, the high watermark we have on record is $54,625 for a 1911 Wagner single at RM Sotheby's 2018. That's roughly about 50,000 euros, give or take daily rates, and you can see it straight from the source. There's also a Hershey 2016 sale at $31,050, approximately 28,500 euros, for another 11 single, likewise documented, RM Sotheby's. And if you're tracking recent market pulse, one crossed the block at Mecum, Las Vegas 2025 for $29,700, approximately 27,300 euros. That's the 1911 Wagner. Simple where it counts, clever where it helps, and brave enough to put the engine low and the noise in the frame. If you've got stories, or if you're an all-purpose expert ready to correct my belt tension, drop a comment. We at Tiny Wheels read them all, and I think we even learn from some of them. Sometimes.